Bring your vision to life at Cabinets to Go, where our best-selling collections are up to 45% off. Nantucket Fluff, Spring Hill Hickory, and Chalet White. Find our most in-demand collections on sale now through June 9th. Only at Cabinets to Go. Designed to wow.
I am attempting the largest private biological engineering project in history, and it's about to get a whole lot crazier. These aren't just cages, terrariums, nor aquariums. I'm plumbing an entire rainforest world, a lush wetlands, a leafy tree canopy, and vast grasslands into a singular planet-scale superbiome for millions, possibly trillions of different organisms, from the micro to the macro, in one massive interconnected network. It's the first ever globalized micro-world of its kind, as predators and prey, plants and fungi interact in one massive, high-pressure, environmentally controlled system whose biological stories I document along the way. But a major change is about to take place in the entire system. A transformation on a vivarium-wide scale that will affect every life form within. And the creatures can already sense something major is coming. Welcome to the Season 7 premiere of my Ecosystem Vivarium series. You're right on time for the biological spectacle. This is Pandora, my 1,000-gallon cloud rainforest vivarium, which is attached to a second giant vivarium on the floor above, called Orchidia, my treetop canopy vivarium, as well as by a cave tunnel to my third giant vivarium, Hydromeda, the tropical wetlands, and my latest giant vivarium, Verdantia, the tropical grasslands, soon to connect to the whole system. It's a personal biological project of mine whose purpose is to study the dynamics of wild ecosystems and document the secret lives of plants, fungi, and animals as they interact with one another in a complex and interconnected web of life. These vivaria have been home to a plethora of different creatures, and one such creature who entered our forest as a hatchling and grew up on its soils and past waters finally made an exit last year from our tropical system in order to undergo socialization training. A year later, he's much bigger and has passed his socialization program with flying colors, and as such, is ready for a homecoming back to the ecosystem that raised him. And I can't wait to share my plans of his epic return. But there are a few biological issues I need to address first.
Yo, what's up, bro? Wait, is this that new game everyone's been talking about?
What are you talking about?
You know that NTE game where people are in cities, getting cars, driving around, stealing stuff? Like the game really just seems like it's anime G. Dude, you already know what I was about to say.
Anyway, I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm playing NTE. This game looks crazy. Everyone thought this was just another anime open world RPG game, but it's definitely different from all the other ones you've seen, bro.
Like, I mean, just look at the city. It feels like you're really in an actual city, bro. The traffic, the stores, the lighting, NPCs walking around everywhere.
This genuinely feels like a real city that you interact with instead of a map that you just sprint through and collect stuff. You can customize cars,
Drift around the city, do races, mess around with NPCs.
go on dates with characters. You dating characters. You dating anime.
Nah, bro, nah. And then randomly the game changes genres and now you're fighting supernatural anomalies in the middle of downtown. Wait, hold on. Did he really just take that dude's car?
Yeah, because all I did was flash my badge, got him out the car, said I needed that shit, and I took that shit, you feel me? But sometimes they can also just refuse because they're actually interacting with you. And that's when your warrant value starts going up.
And at that point, police start chasing you, drones get involved,
And if you get caught, you literally go to jail. Like there's an actual prison system.
bro, what is this game? Every time I see gameplay, it looks just like Anime Grand.
That's crazy.
Nah, this game is actually stopping me from saying it now.
Nah, you're just fighting demons or something.
Whoa, wait. Who that?
Bro, that's Hotori.
She's the big S-Class banner character, and honestly,
She might be one of the coolest characters so far in the game.
damn, she got an umbrella and everything too. She looked like she could also be an Anime Grand.
Nah, bro, cause watch this.
Dude, really? Like, you not noticing this? Bro, she literally freezes time!
She even freezes time while you're still attacking enemies.
Uh-huh.
You already know there's a bunch of minigames in this, so if you want a character to help you with those minigames, you gotta get Hotori, bro.
So you told me that she basically has Zawaru. Bro, I wasn't even gonna say the other thing. Why did it still stop?
Bro, you literally cut yourself off. I did nothing.
Okay, but she actually looked kind of crazy. Look at her animation.
Bro, that's what I'm saying. And the whole time you're playing her, you realize that her
Playstyle is built around manipulating time and setting up huge burst windows. She records actions, freezes everything, then replays attacks during the time stop.
it actually looks insane in motion. And she's not even just stylish for combat. Even whenever you're doing anything in the city, bro, just look at her. She speaks for herself. I ain't gonna talk for a woman that can speak for herself. She's an independent woman.
Alright, bro, the fact that he can actually take cars from people and drive around the city, there's no way you're gonna tell me this game don't remind you of Grid. Oh, so yo, they bad? Yo, I gotta get out of here. You telling me you don't realize what?
Bro, you already know, I know. Just stop trying to say it.
Man, you know, whatever, bro.
Anyway, NTE already released on PC, mobile, PS5, and Mac. And the new character Hotori already came out, so you definitely want to log in now and get her as soon as you can. They're giving out launch rewards including 120 free pools, the free S-Class character Chiz, plus the gift code NTE Gift. So if you're seeing clips going around wondering if the hype for this game is actually real, I'm telling you definitely gotta try it out.
Oh, now I get it. This game is basically Grand Theft.
Please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon. Welcome to the AC fam. Enjoy. Godzilla, my 2-year-old spectacled Cayman, has been an amazing student. He was recommended to me by the late Dingo Dinkelman, croc expert, who mentioned that Pandora, at the time when it had a 25-gallon water area, was large enough to house not one, but 2 baby caiman. But of course, seeing that this was my first crocodilian, one was enough. He ended up growing up in Pandora, happily eating insects, especially roaches. And when he reached a certain size, I knew it was time to begin his socialization training. So I moved him here in this holding tank, which is bare on purpose, as here he is unable to hide and could get more comfortable around me. It's gotten to the point where I can feed him with tweezers and come up to the tank without him freaking out. Before this, I could never approach without him darting away. This educational period was for my own safety, seeing as he is now approaching 4 feet in length and will grow another 2 or 4 feet in the coming years. And at that size, if he's still afraid of humans, he can get highly dangerous. But he's chill now, and at this size, I've been wanting to bring him back to the ecosystem, at least for a few more months, after which my plan is to have him move into my 60-foot outdoor pond in my yard, or to my friend's zoo, where he could live with other spectacled caimans, and even choose to breed to pass on his genes. Whatever the case, Godzilla is truly an amazing animal whose impact on our tropical ecosystem I would still love to learn more about over the coming months. But AC family, there's just one issue that has to do with a chain of other issues that I've been racking my brain over for the past year. Another beast has already been dominating our forest.
I can safely say that home base has cut down the time I take scheduling by half, like 50% easily.
Since the day we opened, we've been using Homebase for scheduling and timesheets. We're saving at least 2 or 3 hours of manager time per week.
Valentino, my senior green tree python, had recently shed and was patiently waiting for his dinner. His last meal had been 4 weeks ago. Now just a warning, this next sight may be somewhat terrifying, but the process for me is always humbling to watch. Valentino, come and get your mouse. He extended outward in anticipation, and once he could sense the meal, he struck at it and coiled. So as with all pythons, Valentino here is non-venomous and kills his prey by coiling around them and cutting off circulation. They're constrictors. After a few moments of squeezing, he was ready to begin the swallowing process. He began to uncoil. Snakes don't bite chunks off their meal and chew like we do. They swallow their prey whole, and the sight is always intense. Now see those holes along the bottom lip? Those are small specialized heat-sensing pits that function as infrared detectors, allowing them to locate warm-blooded prey like rodents and birds in complete darkness. He also has some at the front of his face, over his upper lip. Now as cute and adorable as Valentino is, when he isn't eating, even as a snake owner for 2 decades, the feeding process still freaks me out. But you can't own a snake if you can't stomach the feeding process. Now Valentino here gets 4 to 5 mice every 3 to 4 weeks. This is the feeding regimen he's been used to his entire life, and it's worked for him. There are python owners who feed more frequently, but this for me is way too frequent and considered power feeding, which leads to python obesity, which especially if you aren't breeding, can be unhealthy and isn't natural for the snake. In the wild, these snakes will sometimes go months without food, and Valentino here, as a tree snake, must be agile, nimble, and athletic, which he is. Slender, lean, and even a swimming machine. During ordinary periods when he's not preparing to shed, 4 to 5 mice every 3 to 4 weeks is just right. But here's where the issue is. How to integrate Godzilla back into the system while Valentino is also living here. These two reptiles have never shared the rainforest space, ever. Now, I'm not concerned with Valentino eating Godzilla. For one thing, Valentino only eats warm-blooded creatures, which is why he can live peacefully with other cold-blooded creatures like the tree frogs living here. Second, he won't eat anything larger than a mouse, not even a rat pup of similar size. But Valentino can do some serious damage on Godzilla through biting. On the flip side, Godzilla would happily make a meal out of Valentino and would not hesitate to swallow him piece by piece. I knew having the two reptiles share a space was not an option. Though I'm sure there are a few of you out there that want to see the carnage, both these animals, first and foremost, are my pets, and I will not mix them. But, as you may have guessed, I do have an idea. An idea I'm thinking of first trying out, up on the second floor. Orcadia, my treetop canopy vivarium, has grown to become a place of great biodiversity. And I love watching all the action unfold up here in the trees. The dark horde, the resident and invasive black crazy ants, were feasting on a slice of orange. When they feed en masse like this, not even the fruit flies can get in, and they patiently have to wait on the sidelines for their turn to get at the fruit. Also wandering the treetops were my favorite ant species in the forest, the sapphire royals, our resident blue ants. I just loved watching these giant blue ants foraging the treetops for available fruit. They've been amazing survivors in the ecosystem.
Come with me to shop Ashley's Stars and Stripes sale. Okay, so these hot buys start at $4.99, and I'm low-key redecorating my entire place in my head right now. Look at this sectional. Now imagine it in your living room for only $50 a month. Shop now.
Also wandering the Orcadian landscape were the red ants, foraging the treetops' compost pits. Check out the chromatoblasters, our resident acrobat ants, all licking the leaf surfaces for remains of honeydew, a sweet byproduct produced and squirted off by the mealybugs. All the ant species in our forest, as well as other crafty creatures, like that young roach, are scrambling to obtain some well-needed nutrients before the onset of the dry season, i.e., the summer, where I live. Because when summer hits, many of the plants, like these banyan figs, which are already starting to yellow, shed their leaves in an attempt to self-preserve, a hibernation-like process known as estivation, in response to the extreme heat and lack of water. Once that happens, a chain reaction begins down the food web, where the mealybugs that depend on the sap from these banyan leaves also must hunker down and estivate once their host plant does, thereby stopping production of honeydew. At this time of the year, any and all sweets you can find around the forest are like gold. In light of the impending 2-month-long harsh and hot season ahead. But there's good news for all these creatures. There is a place where the ants and critters may be able to find some extra food resources, for an oasis of sorts will soon be available to them on a lush plateau nearby. In Verdantia, the lush and vast grasslands, a community of orange scale insects, feed from the branches in the trees, and tending to them is the Sagittarius Army, another super colony of invasive black crazy ants that have been attempting to dominate the resources here in the grasslands. The black crazy ants tend to the scale insects, stroking them gently with their antennae and drinking the droplets of sweet honeydew they excrete.
How you do that? How you do that?
Now these scale insects and their ant caregivers are quite lucky, because the species of fig on which the scale insects are parasitizing just so happens to be an evergreen species of fig, which doesn't shed its leaves much even during dry season, and instead continues to thrive through the hottest and driest months of the year, which means the scale insects will continue to have a good supply of sap to drink from, and these ants will therefore have a continuous supply of honeydew. Now, as interesting as this evergreen situation is, I would love if these black crazy ants could have some competition up here, just so they aren't the only ones benefiting from this honeydew oasis. And so, a major project has been underway. For the past few months, I've been collaborating with my friend and architect, Ben, to construct an epic glass bridge to finally join Verdantia to Orcadia, to make all four Vivaria one whole connected system. It would essentially be a glass bridge which runs across the top of these windows. We carefully made the necessary measurements to ensure this glass bridge would be perfect. In the end, the glass bridge would look like this, running nicely across the top wall, over the windows, supported by supportive beams, and connecting to the top of Orcadia. This will officially be our third glass bridge connection, but there will be something quite special about this bridge between Verdantia and Orcadia that will set it apart from the other two. Have a look. Sunny and Cher, Verdantia's resident quails, emerge to hunt and forage. These highly specialized ground birds are designed to hunt in grasslands, with a smooth outline to help them torpedo through the plants and grasses as they seek out insects, plants, and seeds. Now, I've been waiting since last year for them to breed, and their breeding season finally arrives come summer, where Cher will choose a spot to create an inconspicuous nest, and the two birds will cooperatively raise the chicks together. They are now loading up on food to prepare for egg laying.
That's the browser on Xbox. Android.
Yeah! Wars.
Concentrate fire on the target. Enemy battleship sunk. Enemy battleship detected. Enemy submarine spotted. Attention. Reporting the target position. Enemy heavily damaged. Enemy battleship detected. Enemy battleship foundered. I need intelligence data. Engine boost activated.
What was it?
Enemy destroyer detected.
What's that for Microsoft?
Problem solved, sir. The ship is on fire.
I'm about to try to put it in here right now.
Support the allied target. Enemy battleship sunk. All stations, reporting the position of a strategic target. Requesting support. I owe you one. Enemy destroyer blown up. Engine boost deactivated.
But going back to the issue with Valentino and Godzilla, I don't want these birds to mix. Again, yes, I know this is an ecosystem, and it would be true to nature if Valentino were to eat our quails, which in my opinion are a bit too big for him still. But all these animals are my personal pets that are just lending their presence and biological impacts on our ecosystem for this entire project. So, I have come up with a solution to ensure the quails, Valentino, and Godzilla never mix. AC family, after months of mulling over the details, here is my ultimate plan. It's simple and the only way. A wire filter will have to keep our animals and creatures separate. A wire filter that is large enough to allow insects like ants and prey insects, as well as small creatures like geckos, through, but small enough to keep key animals from passing. So our bridge between Verdantia and Arcadia will have to have these wire filters at both ends to keep Valentino from entering the grasslands for now, and keep our quails safe as they enter their breeding season. These wire filters will be removable in case I ever change my mind or remove the quails from the system and want to give Valentino a chance to roam the grasslands. This to me is the best solution.
You could be vaping formaldehyde, which is used in taxidermy.
Oh, dear.
What?
Formaldehyde. Oh, dear.
What?
I knew it. Oh dear, oh dear.
What?
Aren't you an elk?
I don't know what I am.
No matter your golf budget, whether moderate, upper moderate, or luxury, Scottsdale has you covered. Let's start with moderate. Welcome to Eagle Mountain Golf Club, nestled in the ravines and foothills of the McDowell Mountains. The course winds through natural box canyons, rising up to incredible vistas with contoured fairways and immaculate emerald greens throughout a par 71 6,800-yard layout. Make it a true stay and play by reserving a room at the Inn at Eagle Mountain. Located right next door, traversing a mountainside, the Inn offers stunning views with a boutique hotel vibe. Next up is our selection for upper moderate, the short course at Mountain Shadows Resort. Voted best par 3 course in America by golf.com. With stunning mountain backdrops, challenging greens, and 18 distinct golf holes, the short course is ideal for beginners and pros alike. The Mountain Shadows Resort was originally established in 1959 and completely rebuilt in 2017, re-emerging as an icon of luxury and design. The resort and course feature striking architecture and stunning desert surroundings. Third on our list is luxury, the famous TPC Scottsdale Stadium course and the Fairmont Scottsdale Princess Resort. Play year-round with PGA Tour quality standards. Home to the Waste Management Phoenix Open, the stadium course allows you to play in the footsteps of golf's greats. And the Fairmont Scottsdale Princess offers 750 richly appointed guest rooms. Enjoy 5 diamond accommodations after 18 holes of world-class golf. With the means to marry an array of budgets, your next getaway is Scottsdale Golf.
Now, as for Godzilla, a lot of you have suggested that maybe I give Godzilla free roam in Hydromeda, the wetlands. And I could add a wire filter somewhere along the cave tunnel, joining Pandora and Hydromeda, so that Valentino doesn't have access to Hydromeda while Godzilla is living in its waters. But as much as watching our beastly croc swimming through our wetlands would be totally awesome, I am afraid Godzilla would eat every little fish, snail, and shrimp he can catch in these lush waters, and totally devastate this aquatic community, which has taken over a year to establish. Plus, Valentino comes here and swims, and I would feel a bit guilty cutting him off from a third of his home, which has already become a major part of his overall lifestyle. So I've decided that Godzilla will not be living in Hydromeda, and Valentino will still have access to Pandora, Arcadia, and Hydromeda, because I feel shrinking his living space at this point would not be fair to him. And so, AC family, I'm sure your big question now is, if Valentino will still have Pandora, Arcadia, and Hydromeda access, where then will Godzilla be living if he's coming back to the ecosystem? Well, AC family, it's time to share with you the details of a certain biological space I've secretly been working on. A grand idea I know you will all totally love. Vote in my community tab to affect this story.
In this world, it is something that the goddess blesses us with.
You are classless.
Skills are a blessing from the goddess. They're not something you just choose to get yourself.
Even if I have no class or skills, I'm not going to let that discourage me. I'll fight strong opponents and get even stronger.
Actual 5-star reviews of Bob's Playday sectional, performed by 5 stars.
I saw it going into Bob's. It's just another big name store selling cheap furniture at a premium price.
The boy was Iron. I found the Playday sectional, and I was smitten.
It's roomy and pops open into a bed, plus storage. It was a no-brainer, and I didn't break the bank.
Now!
Oh my God!
This is Pantora, my 1,000-gallon cloud rainforest vivarium, which is attached to a cave tunnel leading to Hydromeda, my tropical wetlands vivarium, as well as to a glass bridge of branches through the floor above to Orcadia, my treetop canopy vivarium. I have called these 3 connected vivaria Pangea, as they have become a primordial superbiome whose creatures within cross the bridges, free to inhabit whichever biological world and niche they so choose. And then last year, I created Verdantia, my lush and tropical grasslands vivarium, the juggernaut of tanks, with a space large enough to fit 15 people, housing a plethora of unique grassland creatures and plants. Since its creation, it has stood like an isolated island of life at the back of my ant room's top floor, slowly biodiversifying and fermenting its life within, waiting for its destined connection to Pangea. But the time has come, and the creatures on both sides have no idea their worlds are about to open up, for the greatest of bridges has just been completed, uniting the old world with the new. Welcome, my Pangean creatures, to Verdantia. Verdantia, you're finally one with Pangea. Please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon. Welcome to the AC family. Let's get to 7 million subs in this season 7 of the Ecosystem Vivarium series. Thank you for being part of this whole journey with me. Enjoy. Making all these alterations and renovations in the ant room in my home in order to accommodate our growing baby, our ecosystem, I realize might appear to some as a bit excessive. But honestly, someone's got to do it. For my dream is to document the whole history of our growing ecosystem of tanks. This project has been over 2 epic years in the making. And AC family, I know we are offering some significant scientific contributions to the understanding of ecosystems through this project that will one day be important in the world and help us in some way. How? Not exactly sure yet, but Mother Nature has already taught us so much, and it's about to teach us a whole lot more. For this new bridge, joining Verdantia and Arcadia, is unlike the other two I've already made. And wait until you see why. But before opening up the bridge for business, I approached the heart of our ecosystem. Pantora, our rainforest florvivarium, just to see how ready its residents would be for the great connection to Verdantia. Valentino, our resident green tree python, was sleeping like the old man he was on a top branch as creatures scuttled by in the surrounding branches. A knight in shining armor, blue armor to be exact, scurried up the vine. It was a blue ant from the Sapphire Royals. The blue ants have been working overtime, foraging the upper foliage of Pantora for food, in preparation for the harsh dry season, which was coming up fast, when resources would become much more scarce around these lands. Another worker came along, and they exchanged collected food from their social stomachs via trophallaxis, i.e. mouth-to-mouth regurgitation transfer. Their collections will be highly prized by the colony back home in their nest. Making things slightly inconvenient, though, were the menacing black crazy ants, the invasive dark horde, who are also being the pests they are. As usual, these guys have been actually waiting for the dry season because they love the heat. And their super colonies grow faster when it's hot. In fact, speaking of which, a dark mass caught my eye in the leaf litter.
LinkedIn Sales Navigator uses AI to drive leads more relevant to you. It cannot help you drive the golf cart on the club trip to Scotland.
He is not happy.
It delivers account insights to help you build better client relationships. It cannot help you pretend you know how to play pickleball with those clients. And while it can't stop you from celebrating your success at the wrong time, LinkedIn Sales Navigator can help you target the right buyers at the right time so you can close more deals.
I got a feeling you've been leaking, telling all your friends about last weekend. I thought we said we'd keep it a secret about how I had you up screaming. I know you love the way I do it my way. I know you'll do anything that I say. I know you love to put your skills on display. Right there, baby, bounce it like it's ballet. Trust not every batteries, use that leverage with yours. You can turn it, baby, you can come and see my bag of tricks. Undercover in my six, her legs blow like she a Knicks. I like to watch like the Swiss, yeah, I tell you, baby. Trust not every batteries, use that leverage with yours. You can turn it, baby, you can come and see my bag of tricks. Undercover in my six, her legs blow like she a Knicks. I like to watch like the Swiss, yeah, I tell you, baby. Sweating heavy in the back of my bed, getting closer, got my hands on her hips, yeah. Look like diamonds when I sweat on her skin. Did it once, now she wanna go again, yeah. I know your motives, I see through.
It was an encampment of about 1,000 ants and a ton of brood. This was one of their many temporary satellite nests scattered all over the rainforest. I scanned the encampment for a queen. Can't really find any. Can you? What has made these invasive black crazy ants so successful in our ecosystem, and in every tropical and subtropical country in the entire world for that matter, are a few things. First, their colonies have multiple queens, a condition called polygyny, which is advantageous because the colonies can grow quickly. Also, new queens can mate with their brothers without it causing genetic defects. They can mate inside the nest, not needing a nuptial flight like other ant species, and unrelated black crazy ant colonies can literally join forces peacefully if 2 or more colonies of black crazy ants meet. This is a lethal combination of biological features in a single ant species, the perfect recipe for an invasive ant. Hence, these ants have been so hard to get rid of in our forest, even after 2 years. But all these ants here have no idea they're about to be food to a giant. A giant anteater descended from the skies, sucking the colony into oblivion. And just like that, our anteater enjoyed yet another meal of Dark Horde. This would help cut back on the Dark Horde's population, but not entirely eradicate them. But one concerning thing, the building of this new bridge between Verdantia and Arcadia, is not only would our favorite critters be able to cross over to the grasslands, but so too would the dangerous ones. And I wasn't sure how strong the Dark Horde would become once they meet their compatriots on the other side. The Sagittarius army was fussing about the open soil of the grasslands, feasting on a dead cricket, when the giant anteater came down to feast on them. These lands were home to the Sagittarius army, which I've also been doing my best to cut back on. This super colony is even faster and stronger than the Dark Horde. I bet they're older too. And who knows how much stronger they'd be once they ultimately meet the Dark Horde. They'll surely join forces. We just have to see. The strengthening of invasives wasn't on the top of my mind though, because I felt this new bridge joining Verdantia and Arcadia would do more good than bad in our ecosystem. Now, building this new bridge was quite the task. The team went in to clean the area and begin constructing the glass bridge on site. This glass bridge was designed with the help of my trusted friend and herp hobbyist, Ben, who also helped me build both Hydromeda and Verdantia. This non-AI video, using his architectural designing software, was the initial design we came up with. The glass bridge would sit on brackets jutting out of the wall and run along the top of the windows to bridge the two vivaria together. It took our team several days to work on this bridge. And they loved watching the vivaria during their breaks. Likewise, as the team was working in the ant room, all the creatures within the vivaria spied on the men building their future bridge.
With melodies and rhythms, watch love unfurl, bringing joy and light.
I don't think the animals could comprehend what was truly up ahead for them. Neither will you guys, AC family.
Dancing through the night, our hearts in a swirl.
As the Verdantian Bridge was coming together, another major project was being born down in the lowlands. Godzilla, my young spectacled caiman, was asleep below the water's surface, with just the tip of his nostrils above the water. In nature, this behavior would allow him to remain unseen below the water's surface, where he could be free from predators. As yes, even a 4-foot crocodilian like him could fall prey to even larger animals. But where he was about to go, he wouldn't need to worry about that.
Hero Wars. Play in the next tab for free now.
I'm Peggy, a captain, and my ship crashed at sea. There's no direction, no food, just a deserted island. I can't contact my companions, only a parrot keeps me company. I don't know how long I can hold on, but I won't give up. I begin to explore the island, gathering resources, uncovering secrets hidden in the jungle and ruins. With every step, I grow stronger. With every discovery, I learn how to survive. I build shelter from the wreckage. I craft tools with my own hands. I turn this hostile island into a place I can call home. Each day, I upgrade my refuge. Each night, I prepare for what lies ahead. This island is no longer just a prison. It's the beginning of my survival and the start of my escape.
The various tetras of the wetlands swam around, fat and older now. These fish, like all creatures, eventually age, and I could see it in their slower and fatter bodies. I imagine they would make a great meal for Godzilla. Now, as I've mentioned in the past, as much as having our croc move into Hydromeda would look absolutely stunning for about 2 minutes, knowing him, it wouldn't be long before he realized he was living in a buffet and would go on to eat every single fish, snail, shrimp, and creature he could catch. Hydromeda, as a biodiverse wetlands ecosystem, would cease to exist. But I've begun the planning stage for his next place of residence. Just across the pond, and adjacent to Pandora, is a stretch of empty space in front of this line of windows, and has been the spot I've been eyeing for months, as the location in the ant room to construct his next home. I would simply need to relocate the Leviathan's ant farm tank somewhere else. We're doing this, guys. I began to visualize in my head and trace with my hands the shape of the future enclosure as I saw it in my mind. This next build was going to be a first for me of its kind, one for which it would take me months to design and/or order the various specialized parts needed. But I knew if I could be successful at making what I saw in my head a reality, it would be a truly phenomenal build. I knew it would take a lot of work and time still, so I would use this time over the next few months to do more research, especially on what flora and fauna would be inhabiting such a space. AC family, mark this day as the day we begin the planning for Vivarium 5. AC family, behold! The new Verdantian Bridge. Months of planning and 5 days of construction have all led to this glorious hall of glass, a portal between worlds. Let me show you around. This 30-foot or 9-meter glass bridge is the longest, most spacious bridge between Vivaria yet. It is lined with LED lighting that is synced with the entire ecosystem's photo period, so it turns on during the day and off at night. It also opens at each segment from the top, in case we need to go in and clean or something. This is the hole at the top of Verdantia, where I've tried to pull up some of the fig plant to start growing up there. I've placed a branch on the other side to give creatures a bridge down into the main bridge area. There is also, of course, an opening into the bridge from Orcadia, where I have fixed some fig leaves to extend upward to help critters access the opening. As discussed in previous videos, both ends of these two openings are fitted with wire filters, with spacing large enough to allow insects, spiders, and geckos to pass, but small enough to keep key creatures like Valentino and the quails from accessing the bridge to cross over. These wire filters can be removed in case I change my mind in the future. By the way, guys, let me know what we should name this epic bridge, or should we just keep calling it the Verdantian Bridge? Let me know in the comments. I've placed a Bristol board barrier to keep things from crossing over for now. But AC family, the moment we've all been waiting for. The time has come to open up the bridge. Removing the barrier, and just like that, our bridge was now open for residents on both sides to migrate. Verdantia, you are now part of the system. I just couldn't wait to see what creatures would cross over. I stayed up and watched, and watched, and watched. No creatures were passing the bridge. It was eventually too late, and I went to sleep.
Hey, North Carolina, we're opening 2 new Bob's showrooms in your area. For 35 years and counting, we've believed everyone deserves a home they love.
That's why we're bringing our everyday low prices on furniture, mattresses, and more
To brand new showrooms in Pineville and University City.
So stop in for the latest styles at mind-blowing prices.
And free treats in our cafe.
When the fastest growing furniture store comes to town, there's only one thing to say.
Oh, my Bob! Bob's Discount Furniture.
The next day, I also watched, and still no creatures crawled through that I saw. I wondered if it was because the bridge was too dry, or perhaps too glassy and not enough organic elements. I was certain the smells from the grasslands was wafting into Arcadia, and vice versa, and was sure insects would want to check things out on the other side. How sad that this bridge didn't seem to be the highway I had hoped it would be, like the other 2 bridges. I think we may have to naturally decorate and landscape this bridge. What do you guys think? It does look a bit sterile and bare. Should it be another cave tunnel? Perhaps just some simple rocks and gravel? Plants? Let me know what you guys think. Either way, I was a bit sad that our bridge didn't seem to be bridging anything for the first 2 days. The next day, I approached Pandora and took a quick scan of the vivarium. I saw a lot of crickets, but I wasn't sure if any of them were from Verdantia. There was no way I could tell, but what I saw next absolutely floored me. It was on the alocasia. A baby insect, but not just any baby insect. This was a Philippine katydid nymph, a creature of the grasslands that had to have found its way here to Pandora. Yay! The Verdantian creatures were crossing the bridge, proof that the vivariums had already begun cross-pollinating life, or rather cross-populating life. This to me was like Verdantia and the old world Pangea holding hands. Our four Vivaria had officially become one thanks to the new bridge. Go and eat plants to your heart's desire, little one. And go back to call your friends, will ya? I was so happy. It doesn't seem like any of the ants have shown any interest at migration yet. Not even the black crazy ants, thankfully. But I hear the giant anteater will be ready to pick them off if ever they're spotted trailing through here. But in other great news, while editing this video, I took a quick peek into the bridge today and found this little guy, a jumping spider who had discovered the bridge. Bro, what do you think of this bridge? He has no idea. He's gonna love it here, especially if he's looking for food. Staring into our vivariums and watching the life within thrive and biodiversify, change and migrate into the various worlds we've created together within glass is but a tiny God's eye view that I hope to never take for granted. In a world where we need to understand now more than ever that each of us are members of a giant tapestry of life, equally valuable in a world that is big and multi-niched enough to support all of us. In my mind, the building of this bridge between worlds was a symbol and reminder that though each of us may be from far-off locations of origin, we're all still united and belong here for a greater purpose. Even if we aren't exactly sure yet what that purpose is, surely one day we'll find out. Until then, may we keep on building new bridges for life. AC family, I almost forgot. There's actually one more thing about this bridge I have to show you. Remember how I mentioned at the start of this video that this bridge was unlike the other two? Well, there's a certain exciting feature I've been keeping secret from you guys for the longest time. Some of you may have spotted and have been wondering what this glass compartment is, attached below the Verdantian bridge. Well, AC family, I know you will all love this so much. It's a feature that will kick this project up to a whole new level. Now you guys know how much I love to think outside the box, right? Well, do you see that black circle? That is a sticker. And can you guess what is behind that black sticker? Hint, think outside the box. Vote in my community tab to affect this story.
Hello? Whoa. Mama Gorgon 85 lives here? Yep, that's my mom. The absolute legend who went from gaming on her phone to ruthless online streaming slayer with no mercy for any living thing is your mom?
Hey guys. Apples with peanut butter?
How is this possible?
With AT&T Wireless and Home Internet.
Hey, text me if you need anything.
Level up your connection with AT&T Wireless and Home Internet, now available across the nation.
No, she's so nice in real life.
Every time Ruby presents,
the whole company listens. When she types, decks design themselves.
I literally just used Canva AI.
Try Canva AI for free.
Our resident creatures would be much more willing to wander into and inhabit our bridge, as well as hopefully attract new creatures from the outside inside. And you know what? I was right. At the top corner of Orcadia, a blue ant had found its way to the bridge. Awesome! My heart was so full watching the very first blue ant excitedly explore our new log bridge. It scaled the driftwood, then traversed the green fields of moss. For its whole life, it had only known Orcadia, Pandora, and Hydromeda. But today, she had found a new fork in the road, taking in all the new sights, new smells, and mapping in her mind the beautiful logscape spanning our bridge. I smiled knowing she would soon head back and report to the colony everything she'd found. In terms of creatures coming into the system, check this out. I noticed a movement on the branch within the glass box and couldn't believe my eyes. Now you may think this is an ant, right? Well, it's not. This is actually a spider. An ant mimicking spider that is totally cosplaying a Polyrachus ant found in my area. See the head of the ant? Those are its jaws. Crazy mimicry. I've been trying for years to find one of these guys to add into our forest. And to think, all we needed to do was to give it an open door to walk through. I placed it back to explore and hoped we'd see it again soon. Over the next few days, Mother Nature sent more and more Kinder Surprises through the hole. A juvenile green locust. I wondered where it would go. Looks like it's headed for Orcadia. Makes sense that being up at canopy level on this top floor of the ant room, most of the creatures coming in from the hole will be canopy creatures. I also spotted a jumping spider and a house gecko in the glass box, but I wasn't sure if they came from the outside or were one of our residents here because they had learned that critters come through that hole and were hoping for an easy meal. At night, I was shocked to discover a male tree frog in the bridge. Again, I wasn't sure if this tree frog was Kermit coming to check out our new bridge or a totally new guest tree frog from the outside, sensing that there was an alluring world within the hole. Whatever the case, so far it seemed like this hole just changed the dynamics of this project big time. I hope it can help increase biodiversity in our ecosystem over time. We'll just have to see. But in case you've been concerned about the hole causing a potential loss in biodiversity, especially of some of our more beloved creatures, like the blue ants possibly leaving us, I'm not too worried because in Pangaea, the blue ants enjoy regular fruit. They don't eat much of anything else. Also, Pangaea replicates a cloud rainforest and montane system, a habitat that is higher in elevation with cooler temperatures and hydrating mists, in comparison to the hotter, drier lowland rainforest outside my home. These blue ants happen to come from the local cloud rainforests near me, so I'm hoping if they ever do pop outside, they'll realize how good they have it with us and choose to stay, since Pangaea's environment better mimics their natural home. I'll definitely keep an eye on them, no matter what. But from the looks of things, our blue ants seem much more interested in following their antennae to explore the new and highly intriguing smells of Verdantia. And you know what? There's actually another reason I'm not too worried about losing life to the outside world. In fact, I suspect very few creatures will want to travel into this lower glass box area after tonight. AC family, it's time to share with you the big secret I've been keeping about this hole and glass box. I'm sure some of you may have figured out my plans at this point. And yes, it's a bit crazy, but only those who risk going too far can possibly find out how far one can go. And this time, we're going 500 meters outward. Hey, Mack? All set for tonight? Perfect. Yes, everything is set and ready for their arrival. Vote in my community tab to affect this story.
Watch the FIFA World Cup live on Fox and FS1, June 11th through July 19th. Sign up now.
At Spectrum, we believe every day unlocks unlimited possibilities. Spectrum transforms your gaming experience into a galaxy of adventures. And with super reliable internet speeds, you're always front row to the entertainment you love. Switch to Spectrum Internet today.
This will leave you buzzing. I am Ants Canada, creator of worlds, the biological engineer of a multi-year operation in my giant ant room lab, located in my home, where I'm building an expansive network of ecosystem vivariums. Exhibit A, Pantora, my 1,000-gallon cloud rainforest floor vivarium, which is connected by way of a cave tunnel to Exhibit B, Hydromeda, a tropical wetlands vivarium, and to a vertical glass bridge of wooden vines, ascending up to Exhibit C, Orcadia, a treetop canopy vivarium on the floor above and through an opening at the back, leading to a fallen log bridge, to Exhibit D, Verdantia, a gargantuan 2,000-gallon tropical grasslands vivarium. It's all one massive connected ecosystem I call Pangea, housing a plethora of fungi, plants, and animals whose purpose is to reveal how ecosystems work in the wild. And we're about to learn a whole lot more with the introduction of a brand new species that I knew would completely change the game in our ecosystem. The resident creatures of Pangea had no idea their world was about to enter a whole new era. Pangea, I present to you a new age in your evolution. The age of the bees. The newly planted flowers of varying species are all ready to welcome their winged overlords to their enticing nectaries and pollen-packed anthers. Bees, welcome to Pangea. Subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon. Welcome to the AC fam. Enjoy. Adding the beehive was a mission. The entire bee nest was carried in a bag by Mack here, my friend and professional stingless bee farmer. I could hardly contain my excitement as he walked with the bees in hand through the ant room to the top floor. The insertion of the bee nest into Pangea needed to be planned carefully, as one wrong move could lead to a disastrous situation with a bunch of angry bees loose in my home. Now, the species of these bees is Tetragonula burroi, a native species of stingless bee. Yes, they're bees that lack a stinger, but don't get it twisted. They still attack when provoked. They bite and go for vulnerable areas. eyes, nose, ears, armpits, and hair. But hey, I keep pet fire ants. Surely I could handle stingless bees, right? Well, it turns out these bees were not at all like fire ants. They're not even quite like honeybees. And despite all my intricate planning and preparations, I would soon discover that these bees were like no other creature I've kept before. And I was up for the craziest adventure in the history of Pangea's ecosystem. Ahead. After agreeing on a plan and placing the entire bag into the glass box, which would become their new beehive, we were ready. The next step was to shut off all the lights and remove the bag to release the bees and the nest. Here goes nothing. In the dark, Mack worked as quickly as he could to remove the bee nest from the bag and remove the bag from the box. I could hear the bees buzzing around, and some came buzzing around my head. Despite standing a good 6 feet away, my protective headgear was effective, but some managed to crawl up my pants and were biting me in the places the sun don't shine. It felt like little sharp pinches. Once the bag was removed, Mack shut the door to the chamber, trapping the bees inside. But that was just the first step. I was shocked to see how many bees were on the floor, something Mack cautioned would happen. So we took a soft broom and swept them all up to place them into the chamber to rejoin the colony. These bees are activated by light and are the most sleepy and inactive in the dark, hence us introducing the bees at night. When they were all in, we could finally relax. This was all extremely exciting because pollinators play a major role in ecosystems, and I always felt that they were a critical missing link in Pangea's ecosystem. So finally introducing these bees to our system was a total dream. I was also excited because this setup is quite unorthodox for housing them, with a connection to the outside to access outdoor flowers, as well as an indoor component, with flowering plants in every vivarium. In theory, the setup was definitely bee-tailored, but whether it worked in practice was a different story.
Jane runs a camp, and you know it's a camp because she bought a .camp domain name with Squarespace so that you can sign up and go to her camp.
There is a lot about the job isn't actually that fun that I have now automated away almost entirely. One of them is Sentry. This is kind of a different type of automation where it's going to go through on whatever schedule, whatever cadence, and it picks off one of the top Sentry issues. So what this type of automation does is it allows us to focus on what is going to make the Codex app great to use and useful and joyful, and all of the things that, like bugs and things that fall through the cracks that like aren't quite as fun to figure out, at least for me. That stuff can happen kind of behind the scenes.
Truth is, I didn't know if the bees would even like this glass bee box, if they would decide to move out of it, or worst case scenario, end up dying here. I didn't know if the bees would actually travel through the glass bridges and visit our flowers in each vivarium. But I had done the research, laid the groundwork, and planned this experiment out to the T, in the name of science, to give our bees the best possible chance at success and welcome home. Little did I know, Mother Nature was about to throw a surprise welcome party of her own, in perfect and tameless Pangean fashion. After giving the bees an hour to settle down, I looked into the bee box to examine the bee colony closely for the first time. The bees were restless and were scuttling everywhere. A piece of the hive had broken off during the transport. A bee-made material called propolis, which the bees were not happy about. To them, this was supposed to be a normal night and their bedtime, when they were suddenly backed up and ended up here in this strange place. This was the damaged portion of the hive, where the piece of propolis broke off. It was a breach in the nest that the bees were diligently working on repairing. I hoped they'd be able to repair it soon. But lo and behold, this hole in the nest was about to be the least of my worries. Hey! A black crazy ant had made its way into the bee crowd. In fact, a few of them were showing up. It was then that I realized that a surprise greeting party had arrived on the scene to welcome the new winged guests. The Dark Horde, our resident invasive black crazy ants, had learned of the new bees and had appeared to do what they do best, take and steal whatever they can, including the bees themselves. At first I watched the black crazy ants inspect the area. There were so many disoriented bees on the ground. And soon, the black crazy ants' intentions became clear. And suddenly, it was ants versus bees. The black crazy ants had released a pheromone to inform all ants to abduct the weakened bees to take home to the nest for the colony to devour. I felt helpless watching the stray bees being attacked by the black crazy ants. I couldn't open the door to help them now. The bees did their best to rejoin the colony as the Dark Horde wafted toxic fumes of formic acid into the air, which weakened the bees even more. I watched in horror as the ants carried away a weakened bee. Why wasn't their colony helping them? Up at the nest, the main colony seemed untriggered by what was happening at ground level. Had this been ants, the entire colony would have mobilized to confront the intrusive enemies. Thankfully, I didn't see any black crazy ants actually on the nest, trying to infiltrate the hive. In fact, the ants didn't seem to want to approach this separate swarm of bees on the propolis either. There was a reason for this, and I would find out later why. But right now it did seem like the Dark Horde was only interested in the isolated and weakened bees. I could do nothing but watch as the Dark Horde picked off these weakened bees and dragged them away from their hive. Overall, I knew it was just a small portion of the bee colony that we were losing to the Dark Horde. Mainly the weakened stragglers. But this battle was still quite sad to watch play out, especially because them abducting these bees was one nutritional point up for these invasive ants, which was only going to make them stronger. The main bee colony at the nest seemed okay for now, so I took a deep breath and resolved to head to bed, with the hope that the colony would be all right in the morning.
LinkedIn Sales Navigator can't help you pretend you know how to play pickleball with your clients. But it can give you insights to help you build better relationships with those clients.
Morning arrived, and I held my breath without a single guess in the world as to what I'd see within the bee box. The morning sun was shining onto the nest. Surely the bees were awake and active by now. Looking around the box, I did see the dark horde was still busy collecting the weakened and isolated bees. They whisked these bees up into the bridge to take them back to their nest. But as for the bees themselves, looking at the exit hole, no bees were seen leaving, to my surprise. But looking around the bee box, I was shocked to see this. In the corner, a mass of bees were all stammering against the glass. It looked like they were trying to follow the sunlight as they piled en masse into the corner, held back by the invisible force that was the glass. I knew this would be a problem, as these bees would eventually die from exhaustion if left to keep doing this, so I had to act fast. I placed a black cloth on the open side of the bee box to block out the bright sunlight streaming into the bee box. I needed to show them where to exit. When I was done, at first, nothing happened, with the bees still crawling around the corners. But after a few moments of recalibrating and finding their bearings, soon enough, the bees understood the assignment and, to my delight, began to exit through the hole. It was one of the most beautiful sights I'd ever seen. I marveled at the swarm of bees leaving our exit and entering the outside world to do their great work as pollinators. Have a look. Yes! Man, I can't believe it worked! This bee box was formerly just a concept, but to know it actually worked in practice and earned the bees' approval so far was such a thrill. And look at what else I noticed. They were already inspecting and visiting the monkey pod tree flowers just outside the hole. I knew they'd love them. There were a ton of them all around my home. These bees forage as far as 500 meters from the nest, so I imagine they were probably having a blast right now, exploring all the flowers of the plant life around their new territory. There was a massive mango tree just 100 meters away, which I was certain they were checking out. My banana trees, also 100 meters away. A ton of herbal and fruit-bearing shrubs and trees at my farmyard, within a 300-meter range. Flowers galore in my garden, also within 300 meters, plus an entire jungle around my home, full of native flowers from which to collect nectar and pollen, all within a 500-meter radius from this hole. AC family, what should we name our new bee colony? Let me know in the comments, and I'll choose my favorite. It was also cool to actually get to see the nest clearly now. The bee nest is a piece of rotting jackfruit tree that the bees were nesting in and customized into this ball of propolis and debris. I think these bees were now treating this entire bee box like a cavity within a tree.
You were in there for 3 minutes.